Lots of guitar players want to sound like David Gilmour, and rightfully so. I mean, who doesn't love the comfortably numb guitar solo? But, you know, you don't have to chase down lots of equipment and fancy pedals just to kind of sound like David Gilmour. You can really get a good imitation of his style just by knowing a few really basic ideas and concepts. So that's what I want to talk about today, is how can we kind of imitate him and sound like him without spending a ton of money on, you know, pedal boards and stuff like that. As far as tone, I'll talk a little bit about tone. If you don't have a Stratocaster, I mean, it helps to have a Strat, but even if you don't, throw a little distortion on there and some delay, and that'll take you a long distance into getting, you know, a Pink Floydian sound. But the number one most important thing you can do to sound like David Gilmour is to play over something that already sounds like Pink Floyd. And I know that might sound basic, but really think about it. If you're not playing over a Pink Floyd track, if you're playing over power chords and blast beats, it doesn't matter what techniques you're performing, what your tone is, it won't sound like Pink Floyd. So step one is write some chord progressions that are Pink Floydian, or just jam over a Pink Floyd track. I have one in the description. It's just a few simple chords, and I swear as soon as you start playing notes, you're going to feel like David Gilmour. You're going to feel like a god, because literally everything you do on top of that track in the key of E minor will just sound great, okay? So download that, and that way you can play along with everything here I'm about to show you. So the first thing we're going to do is very basic. We're going to talk about sliding up to notes instead of just picking notes. And when you've got a lot of delay on your guitar, this helps out a lot. So for example, let's say I'm in the key of E minor, all right, and I've got these notes available to me in the E minor scale. But what I want to do is, let's say I had written this melody. It goes from B to E, and then it goes to B to F sharp, and then B to G. That sounds all right, but it would sound a little more interesting if I slid up from B to E and left my shape by like this. Already you can hear that sounds a little dreamier, right? Now listen to it in context of the jam track, and I'll play it both ways, without the sliding and with the sliding, and you'll hear immediately that just that simple idea of adding in slides instantly makes you feel more Pink Floydian. Okay? Take a listen. Sounds awesome. Now, if I just pick it, so, I mean, it sounds good, but in my opinion, it's boring, right? So, what we're going to try and do is, we've added in some slides. I want you to also think about how much it's going to help if we just start bending up to the notes that we want, all right? And what I'll do is I'll show you a little move here that I've seen in more than one David Gilmour solo. What we're going to do is we're going to go up the E minor arpeggio like this. All right, that's 4 notes of the E minor arpeggio right there. But instead of picking this last note, we're going to bend up to that note from 15 on our 2nd string. All right, so the move will be like this: 1 and 2 and. Okay, the solo that comes to mind right now is Time by, yeah, the Time solo. And what he does is he actually slides up to the note and then starts the arpeggio. So if we combine that, we're sliding up to the F sharp right there, and then we're finishing up the arpeggio with the bend. And there's a classic David Gilmour move right there that you can kind of use anywhere. So I'm going to turn back on the track, and even if the chord isn't E minor, I'll still play the E minor arpeggio. We'll just hear what it sounds like, all right? Sounds awesome if you ask me. Now, if I wanted to be a little more precise, what I would do is I would do that same kind of move with each arpeggio matching the chord. So for example, the next chord was C major 7, so I would do the same kind of slidey move and with a bend for a C major 7. But I just wanted to show you that specific move and you know how you can use that wherever you want, and you'll see that that fits perfectly into your pentatonic minor scale, okay? There's another bend move I want to show you that David Gilmour uses a lot, and it looks like this. And this isn't just David Gilmour, this is a very common pentatonic bending move. But what we're going to do is we're going to use our 3rd string, and I also use my middle finger, my 3rd finger and my middle finger to help me bend this note. This is 14 on my 3rd string. And you can see I've got both fingers doing the bend while my 1st finger is hanging out here on the 12th fret. And it's going to take care of both 12th frets here on the 2nd string and the 1st string. So what I'm going to do is bend on the 3rd string, and then I'm going to drag my pick to the 2nd string on 12 and the 1st string on 12 like this. All right? Now, you can choose to let those notes ring out. If that's the effect that you want, it gives you kind of a dirty, sustained feel. Or you could choose to individualize the note, so it's only one note at a time like this. And that'll take just a little rolling of your first finger there, okay? And then when you're done with that little move, I like to finish it off with another bend, or a bend on the second string, or just come all the way down your pentatonic scale, or down the pentatonic scale with with a pattern. And that is very similar to the things that you hear in Comfortably Numb. All right, going up a little bend move and then coming down the scale in a triplet pattern. I think there's 3 times he does that in the solo at least. All right, so let's take a listen. We're gonna add in this bending move to my Pink Floyd jam track, and I'll try and follow it up with some bends afterward. Cool. Now, what I want to talk about is some double stops, all right? It's a very common double stop move that I've heard David Gilmour use all the time, and therefore I use it all the time. Very simple stuff. All we're doing is we're squashing our finger on the second string and on the third string like this. All right, and when I play both those notes together, you get a pretty dissonant sound, especially with some distortion on there. But following it up with the root on my 4th string, that'll be my ring finger on 14. So I've got this double stop, and then I'm coming back to my root. And any variation of that, you know, going from the double stop to the root, or hitting the double stop twice and coming back to the root, doing some chukka-chukkas, you know, where you're resting the strings. It's a really cool thing to jam out with just those 2 things. So what I'll try and do is I'm going to try and just focus on just a few notes. I'm going to really, really isolate this move here, and I'm going to do a few notes in between, but I'm going to just drown it in this double stop thing, and you're going to hear how grungy and nasty it sounds on top of the track. All right, pretty cool. Sounds great. And you can also do that double stop move here on the first 2 strings. It's not as grungy, it doesn't sound as dissonant, but it still works just as well, and I've heard him play that same move as well. Now, the last way to sound like David Gilmour is to literally just steal an exact lick from him. There's a lick that I want to do from the song Mother, okay? And we're gonna play the lick in the key of D. Essentially, this is the way I think of it. If I wanna play this David Gilmour lick in any key, what I do is I find the root on my 2nd string. So in this jam track, we do have a D chord, and what I wanna do is I wanna outline that D chord with this one lick. So when the D chord comes up, I'm gonna find D on my 2nd string, which is right here. And once I'm there, I now know what the shape is going to be for this this lick. And check it out. If I start here with my middle finger, it actually starts with my 1st finger, but I'm kind of using my middle finger to gain my bearings of where I'm at. But here's the actual lick. It goes like this. All right, beautiful David Gilmour lick. All right, and now you can see I'm in the key of D. If you look at some of these notes here, this note right here is an F sharp and a D and an A, and then I have another G, and that would be my 4th. So basically, it's like a D add 4 arpeggio, and it's just a beautiful little line there, very comfortable for your fingers. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna try and combine everything together, okay? I'll do some slides, I'll do some arpeggios, but when that D major comes up, I'm gonna literally just steal from the book of David Gilmour and play that lick, and we'll hear what it sounds like, all right? All right, I think that's pretty sweet. And I mean, I'm not David Gilmour. I'm never going to sound just like David Gilmour. But hey, I can do an imitation just because I know a little bit of, the theory that what he does, and I know a few of the tricks that he has. And I've tried my best to sound like David Gilmour as far as tone is concerned, but I'm not really one of those tone chasers. My brain doesn't work that well. But hopefully this was a good imitation. I hope you thought so as well. So, I mean, becoming David Gilmour is a lifelong process. It's not something you're going to learn in one lesson, but hopefully you can at least fake it a little bit better after watching this lesson. All right? Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below if you have any questions or if you have any requests for special videos or lessons to see, and I will plan on seeing you soon.